Welcome to the Logic in Life Coaching Podcast, episode 18.
Everyone wants happiness and success, and we know how to get you there. Come listen to the Leadership Society of Arizona as we teach a proven logic to help you simplify life, overcome challenges, and predict the future. You're listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. Welcome to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. My name is Chuck Zalanis, and I'm joined by the one, the only, Dr. Jacob Kashiwagi.
I'm here.
Okay. We're excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much, Dr. Jacob.
Thank you, Chuck. It's great to be here every single week.
It's becoming a regular thing. It's great. So, we're going to actually talk about regular things. We're going to talk about consistency and my lack of it. So, consistency really seems to be an issue for me. So, journaling, exercise, morning routines all seem to be thrown out on a whim. So, however, I know that consistency is important to develop excellence in most areas of life. So, how do you recommend to become more consistent?
Okay, this is a very good question, Chuck. But let's first talk about consistency here. I don't think your issue is that you're not consistent. Because if I were to look into your life, I would guess that you are very consistent in many things. See, everyone's naturally consistent at something, right? You might not be consistent at journal writing, but you might be very consistent at not writing in your journal.
Wow.
You see how I kind of turned that one on you?
Sure. Okay.
But the issue that you're having is you're not consistent in the things that you want to be consistent at.
Yeah, so I mean, like these are the things that I've seen successful people are generally consistent in these areas. And so I'm like, all right, if I want to be successful, I got to be like these people and I got to do these things.
Yes. So there's two things we need to remember here when dealing with consistency. First is, there are things that you believe successful people do consistently to be successful. Characteristics that you feel you need to have ingrained in you every day so that you can grow up to be rich, famous, and amazing.
Yep.
But the thing you got to remember is sometimes you might think something's required to be successful. You might think that every successful person does an activity consistently. Like, I don't know, what's one of the things you thought?
Like a morning routine, like everyone does. Yeah.
Like what time you wake up. Maybe consistently waking up early. You might think all successful people do that, but that's not necessarily true. In fact, I know for a fact that many late night comedians probably don't go to bed till when people are waking up in the morning. They stay up all night.
Yeah.
Right? And so one of the things you got to remember is you might think you have to be consistent at a certain characteristic or a certain thing, but that might not necessarily be true. So the first thing is, if you can't do something consistently, find something else to try to do consistently. Because more than likely, that characteristic that you think is so important, it might not be that important to you.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, the second thing to remember, which is very important, which is what you are naturally good at, what your natural tendency, how you react to things, different things that you do in a day. The more naturally you're consistent at it, It's identifying your strength. You're naturally consistent at things that you're strong at, things that you already have ingrained in you.
Okay, so if I'm like not naturally consistent at doing push-ups, then it's not my strength, is what you're saying?
Yes, the more you have to the more effort you have to put into try to doing push-ups every day, to try to get better at push-ups, the more you have to artificially try to do that. And the more times you fail at it, and the more times you have to try and do it, that's not your strength.
So are we talking like Kung Fu Panda? I'm thinking of like how Po was not really good at doing the traditional type of training for karate and martial arts, but then when Master Shifu found out that he really likes dumplings, that he could just train him using the dumplings.
You got it. Then he became really consistent at training.
Yes. All right. So Kung Fu Panda is all that we really need to know as far as naturally following your strengths. It doesn't necessarily mean that I can never be good at push-ups. It's just finding the best way of training that makes it so it's consistent and enjoyable.
You got it. You could, and depending upon your willpower, you could become really good at push-ups. But what if like you were naturally really good at maybe like running? And so all that time you spent in push-ups, if you would have spent running, you would have improved your physical strength and abs and everything like that 10 times quicker. And then you could have been a marathon runner. And then you could have like broken world records.
Jacob, this is just hitting me all at once. Oh
I
no,
know you.
I have all these regrets.
Okay, now go back and listen to my last podcast. No, but so the two things to remember, getting back on topic here. Consistency is one, the characteristic you might think is like absolutely necessary for you might not be. And two is you want to find those things that are more natural for you because you want to build up your strength. Your strength is what you're going to really become successful at. And so you want to do things and build up your consistency in things that are already strong in you. Now, there might be, some things that you're not very good at, but you really want to get good at, and that's perfectly fine. And it will be harder work. But if you're first trying to get a routine, if you're first trying to start being more consistent, like saying at exercising, you're not going to try and start being consistent at exercising, doing the thing that you hate the most, you can't do very well, and you dread doing every single day, right?
Yeah.
You want to start learning the consistency of exercising on something you enjoy doing, something that comes naturally to you. And as you build it up and get better at it, then you go to the things that maybe is that one thing that's really hard for you, but would be really good for you to do.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I mean, that's probably why you and your family love racquetball.
It is true. It comes natural.
Yes.
And it's enjoyable.
Yes. Okay.
It's like the highlight of the day instead of the dread of the day.
Got it. So you just make it fun. Yeah.
You got it. So, 3 things here on consistency that you should always remember. The more natural, the more consistent. Okay, so that's the first thing. We kind of just talked about it.
Right.
Second thing, the more simple, the more consistent. Meaning, if you're going to start out doing something, you better make sure this thing is so simple. Like, if your morning routine to write your journal involves like cleaning up a whole room, clearing off your table, going and getting your paper and pencil, and then meditating, and then like going over like your entire day through your mind, and then an hour later you start writing in your journal and you're going over every little detail of the day. Yeah, you're not going to get very far in this. That's what I call complex. Many steps, takes a long time, right? So if you're starting out, make it simple.
You just described my journal process.
Well, this would explain a lot, Chuck. You know, simple means like, okay, step one, write in your journal. Step two, 2 minutes later, close your journal. You're done.
Got it. Well, here, my first step generally is find the journal. I don't know where it is. Second step, find a pen or a pencil. And that's really difficult too.
Yeah.
Third step, figure out what I did today. And that takes a while. Fourth step, entertain my daughter. Fifth step, I normally don't get anywhere. So then I just put it to the side.
So my journal routine, when I wake up in the morning and I'm working, click open my Word file, quickly type whatever that I thought, remembered, or wanted to put down for the previous day. This in the morning, of course. So I write my journal actually the next day. Quickly write it down, 5 minutes later, done. Oh yeah, and sometimes I'll add in another step, which is like go to YouTube and turn on like favorite songs I like to listen to. That that makes it so much more enjoyable sometimes.
Okay.
So you need to make it simple for you. Sometimes simple is like keeping a pad of paper right by your bed, and right before you go to bed, you just like write a couple of lines in it for your journal, right? That's simple to some people. For me, because I'm on my computer so often, simple for me is just having a Word doc, putting the date, and then just going typing and closing the Word doc.
Makes sense.
Right? The less steps, the more natural. It goes right along with your regular routine. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to find anything. You don't have to prep anything. That will help you out.
Okay.
Okay. Third, easier it is, easier to be consistent. I think we kind of went over this with simple, so I think everyone gets the picture.
Okay, so you're making the same point twice.
Well, it's a little different. Okay, it's probably the same point. Okay.
just make it easy on yourself. Like if you're better at using your phone, or if you're better at using pen and paper, you just pick whatever medium is best.
Yeah. I think simple is more of less steps.
Got it.
Easier is more of what you're capable of doing more.
Okay. That makes sense.
Natural, simple, easier, I guess they're all kind of the same. So maybe I made it more complicated, but hopefully everyone got something out of that.
Got it. Got it. And I did want to contest your first point that you made before we close, is that you said that I am naturally consistent at not doing my journal, or naturally consistent at not doing things.
Well, every person has consistent tendencies that they do. And why I mention that is because if you want to be successful in life, if you're trying to be consistent to be successful, one of the things that you should do is observe what you naturally do consistently. observe what you do without having to tell yourself, I gotta do this every day. Because if you observe the things you naturally do all the time, the way you naturally react to things, the way you naturally do things, what you naturally do, it's going to lead you to the place where you're really going to be successful. So instead of trying to say, oh, I gotta be consistent at like, I don't know, maybe like, I gotta be consistent at like, I don't know, having my spice cabinet organized alphabetically. And I gotta make sure it's always organized like that.
Hey, you do you, man.
Yeah, because my next door neighbor organizes her spice cabinet like that. Right? Instead of trying to do something that you see someone else doing that you're like, oh, I gotta be consistent at this. This is something that's gonna make me successful. Your thing might be something else. Instead of the spice cabinet and organizing it, maybe it's your thing is like, you like are organizing your knives all really nice, you know, and keeping them sharp consistently and doing that every day, you know. That you might be a knife person, not a spice person, you know.
If you're a serial killer. No, if you're like just sharp.
No.
Anyway.
What happened here?
Sorry.
Maybe, you know, a meat cutter, a hunter.
Got it.
You've been watching too many Halloween movies, haven't you?
There's a lot of Halloween movies out there, and they're really creepy. Yeah. Anyway, no, yeah. I get it.
But
I get it. Yeah.
I do have one more hint, though.
Okay.
The fourth one. It's not what you think, okay? It's don't give up. You know, the thing about it is learning to be consistent is a tough thing at anything, even things you're good at sometimes. That's why you want to figure out what you're naturally good at and try to be consistent at the things that are more natural to you, especially at first, because it's so hard to truly do something every single day. But don't give up at it, right? If you can't become consistent at one thing, well, go to another thing then. Go to something easier first then. Or if you can't like read a half an hour every day, well, like try to read like 5 minutes every day. And if you can't do that, try to read 2 minutes every day. Or try to change from reading to like maybe like, you know, looking at the news or, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to be more consistent at. Try to change that, but don't give up on it, you know. Always be changing what you're doing to try to figure out what you can become consistent at. And it will lead you to exactly what you need to develop, I feel.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that advice, and I guess I am not doomed for failure because I'm not consistent at certain things. I just need to figure out what is the best way of going about those certain things that I want to get accomplished. That seems natural, is easy, is simple, and I shouldn't give up. So I appreciate the advice, and thank you listeners for listening and viewers for watching. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. It would be great if you could take a moment to write us a review. For any questions, comments, or topics that you would like to have addressed on the show, email the team at leadaz.org. To learn more about the Leadership Society of Arizona, visit us at leadaz.org.